Norris had spotted a 16-year-old girl. She was just walking alone on the road. This girl's name was Lucinda, and she was walking because she had just left like a church meeting in Redondo Beach. She was walking down side street, walking home. Lawrence remembers Norris saying, quote, "There's a cute little blonde." So they kind of pull up next to Lucinda and they ask her, "Hey, like, do you want a ride? We see that you're walking. It's getting late. We can give you a ride." And Lucinda declines. She's like, "Hell no." So then they offer her weed and beer because they had that in their car. And she says no. So this kind of pisses them off. They're like, "This isn't working." They pull up further down the road and they park alongside a driveway. And they're waiting because they see Lucinda's like walking in that direction. Norris then, he exits the van and he opens the side sliding door and he pretends to like work in the van. He's like sticking out and pretending to kind of shuffle through things. But really they were just waiting for Lucinda to come walking up. As soon as Lucinda walks in their direction up towards the van, Norris says, like, we don't know what he says to her. He's just says a few words to her, but then he drags her into the van and then slams the door shut, and he turns the radio up to like full volume to muffle any sounds. So Norris is in the back and he is bounding Lucinda's arms and legs and then gags her with duct tape as Lawrence drove to a road in the San Gabriel Mountains. Now, it said when Lucinda was first like snatched, she was screaming as any of us would. She was screaming, but then she quickly regained composure. Lawrence wrote that Lucinda displayed a magnificent state of self-control and composed acceptance of the conditions of which she had no control. She shed no tears, offered no resistance, and expressed no great concern for her safety. I guess she knew what was coming. That was a quote. End quote. So once they get to this road, Norris first was the one to rape Lucinda after instructing Lawrence to go take a walk and return in 1 hour. Once Lawrence returned to the van, he then asked Norris to leave while he raped Lucinda. So they just took turns. Now, it's hard to know what happened exactly because Norris and Lawrence, they have given different accounts as to who actually like killed her. But it's said that they argued over whether they should kill her or if they should release her. I guess Norris is the one who tried to strangle Lucinda first. This is what Norris says. There was like a certain look in her eyes that made him physically sick. So he is trying to kill her. She's making this face that like really bothered him. So he said he ran to the front of the van and he threw up. So then Lawrence is like, "Well, get out of my way. I'll go do it." So he goes to Lucinda and he strangles her. She collapses to the ground. He then twists a wire coat hanger around her neck with pliers. And then he wrapped Lucinda's body in a plastic shower curtain. And then they both threw her body over a steep canyon that Lawrence had selected. So Norris would say that Lawrence assured him that the animals would eat her up, so there wouldn't be any evidence left. So then on July 8th, 1979, 2 weeks after the murder of Lucinda, Lawrence and Norris, they encountered an 18-year-old Andrea Joy Hall. She was hitchhiking along the Pacific Coast Highway. Now they see her, but they were kind of like behind another car. So they have full plans to pull over and pick her up. But the car in front of them pulls over and they offered Andrea a ride, and she accepted. So she gets in this car that's in front of them and they drive off. So this pisses Lawrence and Norris off. So they decide to just follow the vehicle from a distance until Andrea had exited the vehicle in Redondo Beach. They pull over when Andrea had gotten out of the car and they offer her a soda or a beer. And she said, okay. She opens up the back of the van and that's when Norris pounced on her. It's said that Andrea really tried to fight back. She tried her best, but Norris was able to like twist her arm behind her back, which then caused her to scream in pain. Norris then gagged her with adhesive tape and then bound her wrist and her ankles. Lawrence and Norris drove to the location in the San Gabriel Mountains, where they had taken Lucinda. Sadly, Andrea, when they arrived there, she was raped twice by Lawrence, and then Norris only raped her once. Lawrence then forced Andrea to walk uphill naked alongside the road and then to perform oral sex on him before ordering Andrea to pose for several Polaroid pictures. And Norris decided to walk to a local gas station or something and to go buy alcohol. And then when he returned, Lawrence was already alone, and he had 2 more Polaroid pictures that he had taken. Norris would say that it was just pictures of her face being described as sheer terror, but Norris didn't know where Lawrence had put her body or like what happened exactly. Lawrence had informed Norris that he had told Andrea he was going to kill her and challenged her to give him as many reasons as she could to come up with as to why she should be allowed to live before thrusting an ice pick through her ear into her brain. And he did this to each ear. Lawrence then strangled her before throwing her body off of a cliff. There's like no words for how disgusting these guys are. So then on September 3rd, Lawrence and Norris, they see 2 other girls who are named Jackie and Jacqueline, and they're sitting on like a bus stop bench located close to Hermosa Beach. Lawrence had offered the girls a ride. They said sure, Once they were in the van, Norris had offered them marijuana, which the girls accepted. Before anyone thinks marijuana is bad, because that's not what I'm trying to point out, they had it because they knew like it would bring people into the van. I just know people are going to be like, marijuana's not why they did this. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they had the marijuana, okay? Shortly after the girls had entered the van, both of them had noticed Lawrence, who was driving the van. He had steered the van off of the Pacific Coast Highway, and he was driving in the direction of the San Gabriel Mountains. So Jacqueline, who was only 13 years old, she attempted to open up the van door, the sliding door, because she just had that gut feeling that this isn't good. While she's trying to get up and like open the sliding door, Norris hit her in the back of the head with a bag that was filled with lead weights. So he knocks her unconscious. Jackie, who was 15, the other girl in this car, she sees what's going on, obviously freaks out, and she tries to like run out of the van as well. And then Norris is able to like tackle her and hold her down. So then he tries to bind and gag Jackie, but at the same time, Jacqueline, the other girl who was knocked unconscious, she regains consciousness, and again she tries to open up the van door and flee, which she does. She is able to get out like a couple steps out of the van, but Norris is on it, and he grabs her. He twists her arm behind her back, drags her back into the van, and the struggle just continues.